So you're considering moving to Scottsdale or Phoenix, Arizona, and you've got your eyes set on the Biltmore, Arcadia, or Arcadia Lite neighborhoods? Then it sounds like you've probably already done some of your homework and you are in for a treat. These areas are some of the most sought-after spots in the valley, each one of them offering a unique blend of urban amenities and suburban charm. But like any place, they come with their own set of pros and cons. So we're going to do a deep dive into what makes these neighborhoods tick, and you can decide if they are the right fit for you. My name is Julie Allen with Relocate to Scottsdale AZ, and every day I get calls from people just like you considering a move to Phoenix or Scottsdale, Arizona. So whether you're thinking of making a move in 9 days or 9 months, you're going to be sure to want to tap that bell for notifications of what's going on in our area and our real estate market. And if you have any questions, don't be shy to give me a call. My contact information is right there in the description box below. So let's get after it. Let's start by looking at the pros. So pro number one for living in the Biltmore Arcadia or Arcadia Lite neighborhoods has got to be the prime location. So one of the standout features of these neighborhoods is that you are centrally located to everything. You have got easy freeway access. You are right on top of or nearby the 51, the 202, and you're really not too far from the 101 either, which makes it really easy to commute to downtown Phoenix, Scottsdale, and Tempe. And whether you're heading out to work or the airport, or you just want to get away for the weekend, you're really strategically positioned so that it's a minimal hassle, but you really don't have to go very far at all. And another great part about this location, and this is for not every single area of these neighborhoods, but they tend to be a little bit more walkable, so you might have just a couple of neighborhood shops and amenities, and just makes it a more convenient place to live. Now, another part about the location is that if you happen to be into the great outdoors, you are just minutes from Camelback Mountain, which I would consider the most iconic mountain in Phoenix and possibly in all of Arizona, although Flagstaff and Tucson people might disagree with me, and great for day hikers of all skill levels. But with that being said, I do want to warn you that if you're coming out here and you think you're going to just do an easy day hike and you find yourself a few minutes or a little bit further along into your hike on Camelback, you realize it might be a little bit more challenging. So just to keep that in mind. And the beauty of being centrally located means you're really just minutes away from other things like shopping, dining, some cultural hotspots, especially if you want to go towards downtown Phoenix, and some entertainment venues. And I would say that the convenience of living in this area is definitely a top factor for people choosing this neighborhood. I think it's one of the top ones, and you guys can decide, let me know what you think. And also because of this prime location, this area tends to stay in high demand, which is amazing for homeowners' home values. And I would say it also probably has some correlation with the expansion of new shops and restaurants that come into the area, because the people that are moving there, the income just supports it. So I'll talk about this in a little more detail later on in the video, so you'll want to stick around to see about that. So that brings us right here to our next talking point, which is the lifestyle and amenities of living in the Biltmore. If luxury living is what you're after, the Biltmore is synonymous with that. I don't really know of any neighborhoods in any other places that are called the Biltmore that wouldn't kind of reek of like old money and come to mind with all of this kind of old money or boating shoes or sweaters and stuff like that. But the Biltmore happens to be home to the iconic Arizona Biltmore Resort. You've got 2 golf courses, spa, you've got dining options. And this resort, if you have never been, it is definitely an iconic resort. It's got 2 golf courses. It's hosted U.S. presidents, foreign dignitaries, Hollywood celebrities, and even regular people. Yes, that's right. So, and especially during the summer, if you can snag one of their off-season packages, it would definitely be worth a visit, whether you're staying there or just going to the restaurant or to the bar. And that's just one spot to visit. If you do move to the area or visit, I would say that you definitely have to check out a few more, and that is the Royal Palms, the Phoenician, as well as the Global Ambassador. 3 different resorts, and they've got, each one of them has a completely different look and feel. They're really immaculate. They're super special. I could probably do a video about each one of those too. So I definitely recommend that you check them out. Probably I would maybe put Global Ambassador towards the top of your list just because it is like new, but all three of them are amazing. And you've also got some high-end shopping in the area too, of course. You've got the Biltmore Fashion Park, and I would say that's kind of like a little sister or a cousin to the Scottsdale Fashion Square Mall, which is larger, or maybe even similar to the Kierland Commons and Scottsdale Quarter, which are both two pretty nice shopping arcades. I would say that it's a little bit on the quieter side than the Scottsdale options, but you do have this right in your backyard, and it's all of the high-end stores that you would have, or similar to the high-end stores that you would have in those locations. Next up is the food scene. So Arcadia and Arcadia Lite is known for its culinary scene, and you've got a lot of homegrown favorite restaurants. So if you live in the area or you're coming to visit, some of the ones that you might check out or someone might suggest to you might be Le Grand Orange. Maybe I'm pronouncing it right, but maybe I'm not. Postino's, The Vig, The Henry, Buck and Ryder, where you can have some awesome oysters in the desert, believe it or not. And then you've also got some kind of speakeasy style places like Dick's Hideaway, or you've got a speakeasy cocktail bar like 36 Below, which is actually in the basement of a mechanic turned coffee bar, and worth the trip. I think it went by another name before, but that's what it's going with right now. And if you can't find something that you like in that area in Arcadia or Arcadia Lite, you are really close to Old Town Scottsdale. You're also really close to Paradise Valley, or if you want to go a little bit further out, maybe Central Phoenix. Next up, we have a strong community feel and active lifestyle. These neighborhoods, despite being close to urban centers, they have a tight-knit community vibe that you might find in a smaller town, smaller place, and you'll see residents and you'll see them at local events, farmers markets, outdoor activities. You'll run into your neighbor at Camelback Mountain and the local parks or the coffee bar around the corner. And this is a community where the neighbors still know each other, and maybe they're more likely to make an effort to reach out. You'll find things like a neighbor leaving out a basket of fruit from their citrus trees for anyone passing by to help themselves to. And it's a neighborhood, generally speaking, where you'll run into the same people walking their dog, going for a walk or a bike ride, or heading out to play a round of golf. You'll also find a mix of all ages and families here, including part-time residents, but I think the common thread specifically in these neighborhoods is that everybody's taking advantage of all of the amenities, especially the outdoors ones where you're going to run into each other. And with that in mind, one thing I do want to point out is that when I say neighborhood feel, sometimes that might sound like I am referring to a community that is in an HOA, for example, especially if I say community events. And while you do have some HOA communities over in this neck of the woods, I think it's a really important takeaway to keep in mind that there are many, many neighborhoods in this area that do not have an HOA. There are some older neighborhoods, so a lot of them are before HOAs were more in vogue. So if you're a little bit free-spirited and maybe prefer not to have the structure of things like on your rentals or design choices, you can have a little more freedom in this case. And you can probably tell a little bit of my own bias regarding HOAs, but you can also find, if you like that, you can also find an HOA community, you can find a gated community. There's really something for everyone over there. And then last but not least is that the area maintains its high property values and investment potential. So real estate in these zip codes, so 85018 and 85016, is highly coveted and for a good reason. Combination of location, amenities, and community appeal has led to some strong property values, and they've continued to be strong, at least within the last 10 years that I've been here and working in real estate. I have seen it firsthand and worked with some of these people firsthand, my own investors that might snag a property for around $500,000 in some particular neighborhoods in this area, and they have the potential to turn it around for 3 to 4 times what they purchased it for by the time they're all done with everything. Full property renovations, just top to bottom full scrapes are common in some areas. But then you'll also find some homeowners who maybe just choose to do some extensive remodeling or improvements of their own property, but all of it is positive and tends to boost the neighborhood profile when it comes to home values. And some of the most prime neighborhoods in this area I would say they're starting at $1 million, but you can easily, if you're looking for it, work its way up to 3 million plus. So depending on the location, but then also based on things like new construction, lot size, if it's in an HOA or not, and then also some other high demand features that are consistent in other neighborhoods, but are maybe specific to this one too. So something might be no visible power lines, or if you have desirable mountain views and things like the presence of a guest house or a casita. And I would say in most cases, a pool tends to be desirable too. That's just valley-wide, but even more so when you're talking about homes in the million plus in Arizona. And I would say that if there is a cap on how much a property or a neighborhood can increase in value, I don't know what that looks like for this neighborhood or if it even exists at all, my opinion. There's really constant development, and I know it's going to sound cliche, like location, 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 but in that case, it means access to highways, Camelback Mountain, you've got the airport, and then of course, all of the other high-end amenities we've already talked about, plus scarcity. So in my opinion, I really don't see as much downside risk to this market as I would see more likelihood of an upside potential. Again, my opinion. And that's speaking towards the long-term and overall trend. And I would say ditto for rental prices and potential appreciation in this area, at least for right now. So let's move on to the cons of living in Biltmore, the Arcadia, and Arcadia Lite. So we're going to flip that last pro that we spoke about on its head and look at it from the perspective of a potential buyer. And that con is the high cost of living and property prices. So in this case, property prices and values are absolutely going to be a massive pro for a seller, but there is no way, like it's impossible for this to be a positive thing for a buyer. So all that luxury and convenience does come at a price. The cost of living in these neighborhoods is significantly higher than in other parts of Phoenix, but it is quite a high-end part of Phoenix. And I don't really know if it's really worth going into too much more detail than the last talking point that we had, but the median prices in Arcadia can soar well above the Phoenix average and make it a challenging market for first-time buyers or for anyone who has maybe a little bit of a tighter budget than the area median. And I would say that it's really just kind of essential to know your own financial situations, your own needs before committing to exploring this area. Otherwise, you might just find something not so great. You would definitely be able to get more bang for your buck in other neighborhoods, but of course that comes at the sacrifice of the location and some nearby amenities. So at the time that I'm making this video, so 2025, we're seeing a bit more of a balanced market throughout the Phoenix metro. So it's really rare, or I would say it's rarer, to see the kind of bidding wars that took place in our market only a couple of years ago, but that's not saying that it can't or won't happen again. And this area is going to stay pretty strong. The next con that we have is traffic congestion and limited public transportation. This is going to be like a broken record, me talking about this in Phoenix. But with that in mind, you have a really desirable area, and that leads to some congestion. So during peak hours, you've got your main roads like Camelback and Indian School, and it can be a little bit hairy. And then you also have limited transportation options. I would say maybe they're absent altogether. So most people are going to be relying on their cars for daily commutes. So if you're not really a fan of driving, if you prefer more of like a city vibe, this may not have it, at least when it comes to transportation. On the flip side, depending where you live in these neighborhoods, you might be in a more walkable or bikeable spot. So you might be a little bit more immune to that, or especially if you work from home and don't really have a commute. And I would say that during rush hour, really anywhere in Phoenix, honestly, you're going to be finding some pretty bad traffic, but it's nothing like other cities. So I've been told by people who've moved here from those other cities. So next up and related to that is ongoing construction and development. So while the neighborhoods are so desirable that they just continue to spur new development, with that, you're going to have the nuisance of noise, traffic, detours, and a changing landscape, and maybe some changes to what had attracted you here in the first place. So double-edged sword of growth and convenience. Now, this one's going to surprise you, but there is some potential for flooding in these neighborhoods. And while Phoenix is known for its dry climate, certain parts of these neighborhoods, especially those near the Arizona Canal, are susceptible to flooding during heavy monsoon rains. So that brings with it not only the possibility of a flood, but also the requirements for flood insurance. And while this is something that you're less likely to run into here in the desert, it's definitely something that you need to be aware of and look into and have that discussion with your real estate agent, and just as much, if not more so, with your insurance agent to see what that looks like and what impact that's going to be on you financially. So there you have it. That is the rundown on living in the Biltmore, Arcadia, and the Arcadia Lite neighborhoods of Phoenix, Arizona. The good, the not so good, and hopefully a few things in between as well. These areas are really amazing. You've got luxury, charm, and convenience, but you really need to make sure you're weighing that against the other costs like traffic and construction, and any other challenges to living in this area to see if it aligns with your lifestyle and priorities. So if you're considering a move to any one of these neighborhoods or anywhere in the Phoenix area, I'd love to help you find the perfect spot to call home. So don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and drop a comment below with your thoughts or questions, what kind of videos or areas you'd like to see next, and your favorite parts of the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.